20 years later I have a chance with the first girl I ever loved. She's the best thing to ever happen to me. When I was 14, I fell in love with a friend in my class. She had captured my heart, hook, line, and sinker. She was everything you could ever ask for, kind, funny, intelligent. But she didn't feel the same way and it was my first ever heartbreak. I took it pretty well though because no matter how much it hurt, I didn't want to lose her as a friend since she was genuinely the best. I know that my feelings for her persisted in one form or another all the way till our 20s. Though, I never sat around waiting for her because she had made it clear she did not feel the same way. I did date other girls and fall in love once more, but deep down, a piece of me always held a candle for her. I would give this girl the world if she ever asked. Unfortunately, we lost touch after we graduated high school. It was weird not having her in my life, even if we were mere acquaintances at some point. I had learned to move on from her and got married to a wonderful woman. She was never second to my friend and I loved her in my own way. So, I was doing pretty good in life. And then she got in touch with me. It was a simple hey, but it was enough to rekindle our friendship. We hung out often from that point on, went to group dinner parties, and even met each other's families. I was happy to know she was married and that she found someone she could love. I didn't realize how hard it was to keep a friend until we both got busy with life and didn't see each other often. Honestly, it might have been for the best because I was a total wreck. My marriage was breaking apart and the divorce process was an emotional nightmare. My ex and I remain amicable, but it hit me hard that I was even getting divorced. I also found out that my friend was going through the same process as me, except much worse. Her husband had been cheating on her with her best friend. I immediately called to ask how she was doing and we ended up having a pleasant conversation. She's doing really well and just trying to forget about the divorce in general. The conversation lasted for nearly 2 hours and out of nowhere, she asked me out to dinner to catch up. We had been to plenty of dinners together, but not alone. We never hung out with just each other because we were married and it would have been somewhat inappropriate. There was nothing that indicated anything but platonic feelings from her end, so I was just excited to spend time with my friend. I went to pick her up at her house and the second I saw her, I was 14 again. I felt like that dumb teen in love with this amazing, incredible girl who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. I started quivering, my voice was shaking, my words made no sense. I thought this was going to be the most platonic night ever, but there was a hint that she may not just want to be friends, which was the way she dressed. I was expecting jeans and a t-shirt, but her tight dress screamed date night. I turned to Jelly. She was still as beautiful as ever. Even after spending so much time without talking, our conversations were never awkward or tense. We just talked about our lives up until this point and dreamt about the future. As dinner went on, I knew there was no use fighting it, I was falling back in love with her again. I knew I didn't have a chance with her though since she just got divorced. But then, we went for a walk after dinner. We found a nice spot by a beach and sat down. She sat close to me and it was obvious she was cold, so I went for it, I put my arm around her. We sat like this for a while, chatting. She didn't comment on my arm being around her and didn't let the conversation die down. I was kinda just frozen with fear and anxiety. I was scared that one wrong move might upset her so I didn't move. But then, she told me something funny about our past and we were laughing. Suddenly she was moving towards me and she kissed me. I swear I felt fireworks explode in me. I could die happy. After that, I dropped her home and told her I wanted to see her again soon. She smiled and kissed me on the cheek. She texted me when I got home to tell me she had one of the best nights in a very long time and how she can't wait to see me again too. We texted back and forth a couple times and I swear I was living the dream. That was until she texted me, I think this could be something really good, and I just panicked. The anxiety kicked back in and I left her on read. Don't get me wrong, I love that she said that, but I'm so scared of effing up my chance with her. She's just way too good for me. She's a lot more successful, ambitious, financially secure, accomplished and intelligent than I am. I feel like I'm out of her league and I'm terrified that one day, she will wake up and realize this. This is the closest she has ever been to ever falling in love with me. I can't lose her again. 20 years later I have a chance with the first girl I ever loved. She's the best thing to ever happen to me. The girl I fell in love with when I was 14 likes me back and I don't know how to handle it. I'm crazy for her and don't want to ruin my chance with her. So after she texted me, I think this could be something really good in terms of our relationship, I replied that I felt the same way and asked her out again. The date was even better than the other night and I think it was because we were open with the fact we both liked each other. So, we were able to talk about very personal things. It was a night of raw, open, vulnerable discussion and bonding. I let her into corners of my mind and heart I never ever dreamed of letting anyone into, but she was so special, I just poured out my soul to her and she listened. It all started when I went to pick her up. I was feeling a little nervous, but pretty good overall. Then, she opened the door and there she was, beaming at me with her beautiful smile. My legs felt like jelly and it became impossible to breathe. We hugged hello and I honestly didn't want to let her go, I wanted to melt into her. I held her for longer than was probably appropriate or necessary, but she didn't seem to want to let go either. She gave me a quick tour and in the living room I saw a small pile of every single note and letter I had written her, the mixtapes I had made her and the birthday cards I had given her. I couldn't believe she had kept everything. She told me she had found some old school mementos when she was moving house and she thought I'd get a kick out of seeing them. She made me walk her through the thought process of the gifts before our dinner reservation and it was honestly funny. I could barely recall some details and she'd pretend like she was hurt that I forgot them. At dinner, just like last time, the conversation flowed, we laughed and had a great time. Then, she invited me back to her place. She opened a bottle of wine, and we settled into some good old-fashioned reminiscing while looking through the mementos again. We had talked about the good old days plenty of times with our friends at social gatherings. But this was different. This was about her and I, and she had kept everything. It genuinely meant so much to me. The letters were typical of a foolish teenage boy in love declaring my feelings, telling her how amazing she is to me, even if she didn't feel the same way. We sat side by side and looked over old photos of us. She'd even made a Spotify mix of the mixtape songs. We spoke at length about how amazing our friendship was regardless of her lack of romantic interest in me. I told her I had liked her for years before finally giving up. And that's when it happened. She asked, "What about now?" That was my cue to be vulnerable with her and to not mess anything up. It was my chance to tell her how I feel. "So what do? I say in a sarcastic, joking tone, "I think you're okay, I guess. What the actual F is wrong with me?" We've always had a friendship built on humor, so this wasn't out of character for us, but it was clear she was trying to gauge my feelings. And I effed it right up. She laughed and joked about being flattered. Though I wanted to crawl away with shame, she said she came to many important realizations when she found this stuff. She had always known how important I was to her, but reading through it all brought up so many feelings. There was suddenly silence, and I knew this was the moment. I could not F it up again. I grabbed her hand and told that I feel like I am that teenager again when I'm around her. How seeing her the other night when we went out was like opening a floodgate of feelings that I had thought I'd well and truly buried. But I was nervous because she had always said no to me, and that I am finding it hard to believe this is happening. She said people grow up, mature, and realize what's important to them and who matters. This time it was my turn to make the first move, so I kissed her. I was floating again, and even though I felt like the king of the world by the end of it, I could tell something was wrong. When I asked her if she was okay, she opened up to me about everything: her divorce, her emotional and mental health, the challenges she has faced in the last year. I could see how vulnerable she was in this moment and felt it was only right to share some of my own experiences with her. Honestly, I couldn't believe how open I was being about things I'd never discussed with anyone. We spent the rest of the night discussing our most intimate thoughts, feelings, fears, and experiences, holding each other, playing with her hair, kissing. I have never felt so connected to anyone before in my life. She was the first person I ever fell in love with, and she will be the last.